what the church has at times lacked in size, it didn't in heart and in the capacity to do something. And I think that's one of the things that excites me about this opportunity, is I think that we will surprise ourselves as a congregation in what, with God's help, we're capable of doing in the Moving with Vision campaign.
Mike and I had been married several years, had gone to many different churches, and just had not found a place. And then we had our boys, and we just couldn't find a fit. And we came one Sunday here, and we left, we got in the car, and we said, this is the place for us. So we've been here since.
And the church really grabbed a hold of us. A lot of the other churches that we went to were large, and you kind of could just fit back in the crowd and didn't really feel necessarily part. And this little church, it needs you. And so the minute you walk in, people are grabbing you and patting everybody else, trying to get us to do things. And just getting pulled in, all of a sudden you had a church family. We were going through issues with Hudson and his surgery, and we were waiting there in the waiting room, and Corey walks in and shows up, and you think, wow, we haven't even joined yet, and the church is checking in on us and taking care of us. So I know that first Sunday we just walked out and said, boy, we're home, and it made all the difference in the world, and we've been coming ever since.
Well, our journey started about 5.5 years ago. We started visiting then shortly after we had moved to Argyle, and after the third time we visited, Blake English told me you had to join after you visited 3 times, and I didn't know any better, so we've been blessed ever since.
When I first started coming here, the people were friendly. But the number one thing that I noticed about this church was that there was no one under the age of 12. And at that time I thought, my goodness gracious, if we don't get some children in here, this church is not going to be alive in a few more years. And so that was a concern for me, because there were no younger couples and there were no little children. And that's changed dramatically now. As a matter of fact, this morning in service we were talking about that when the children came down for children's church, and there's not enough room there for them. There's so many little children there, that's wonderful.
We finally decided that it was time to make the decision to find that church home. It was important to our life, and we knew that it was certainly important to the relationship, but very much important to our daughter, who was very spiritual at a young age. And so for us, it was more of a family need, and to help move us along spiritually in our relationship.
The thing that's touched me the most about this community and this church specifically is the generosity, be it time, gifts, monetary gifts, donations. And I specifically notice this because I do a lot of the missions and outreach, and whenever there's a need, it's met, and sometimes met threefold. So I think it has inspired and encouraged me to be, and try to be, a more generous person with my time, my gifts, my presence, whatever it requires. This church does so much for so many.
Well, the church is family. And the people here have been so wonderful. And it has not been easy for them or for me the last 3 or 4 years. But this congregation has just embraced me as part of their family. And you can't put a value on that.
We all have God in common, and we're all here for a particular reason. which is to glorify God, and there's a lot of tolerance and a lot of forgiving and a lot of love when you step in the doors here, and so I feel like this is like a safe haven for me.
The end of February in 2005, I had back surgery and was home, or excuse me, I was still in the hospital and had a very severe headache. And the doctors thought that I was just having the after effects of morphine because of the surgery. And I went home, and exactly a week later I was showering, and fortunately Tom's mother was at our home helping me recover. And she came into the shower to ask me if I was all right, and I said, you need to catch me, I'm going to fall. And I don't even remember saying that. That was the last thing she said that I remarked to her, and I went into convulsions and had a cerebral aneurysm and actually died on the bathroom floor. But I guess God saw that I wasn't quite ready to come join him yet.
And the church was there for us. They were there for Norma and our family from immediately from that evening. Corey met us at the hospital with some family members, and he was by Norma's bedside every opportunity that he had, being as busy as he is. That convinced us that this church cares about its people. They care about where they're going as a church, and we support this church. There's no doubt that this is our church.
Well, I'll tell you, moving with vision, I think, is a historic time in the life and ministry of our church, in that this will be a complete relocation of our campus and an expansion of what we're able to do. We have here on top of Methodist Hill about 6.2 acres, and what we have down the street on 377 is just shy of 20 acres with over 1,200 feet of frontage. And if you're imagine driving in your car in a Suburban or station wagon or whatever your family drives, if you pass that at 55 miles an hour, you see that church for a good 10 or 12 seconds. Just the exposure, the visibility of the campus, I think, is going to literally put our front door at the front door of the community. The opportunity to expand our classrooms, our worship facilities, the opportunity to have some green space on campus, some ball fields, some practice fields, the opportunity to build a state-of-the-art nursery where we can have sinks in every classroom and closed-circuit television so that those children can participate in worship even though they're in the nursery and other things are going on in the worship space. The opportunity to have increased kitchen space and office space, and most importantly, the opportunity for a worship center that affords us the flexibility that we need, meaning that we can have worship and with an hour or so of setup can immediately go to a huge all-church dinner and fellowship time. And just to have that flexibility of space, I think, gives us tremendous ability to do new ministry.
Well, I think that we're going to have a much greater role in the community because of just being out on Highway 377 and also being privy to some of the amenities that we're going to have. I think that will add to the community as far as possibly being a center where we can all get together, not just the people that are members of the church or visiting or going to the church, but other people in the community can come in also and experience our church family at the same time.
The other thing that I'm excited about with the Moving with Vision is that this allows us the opportunity to express our gratitude to those who've come before us. Meaning that we're recipients not only of God's grace, but recipients of the hard work and dedication and sacrifice and commitment of members of this church from years ago and throughout the history of our church. And now here we have the opportunity to build upon that foundation, in a sense lay a new foundation for those families that will come after us. And so I think just this campaign presents an opportunity, and I think probably one of my biggest excitements in being in ministry is that ministry is always affording us new opportunities to demonstrate God's faithfulness and our response to His faithfulness. What the church has at times lacked in size, it didn't in heart and in the capacity to do something. And I think that's one of the things that excites me about this opportunity is I think that we will surprise ourselves as a congregation in what, with God's help, we're capable of doing in the Moving with Vision campaign. I'm excited about what I believe is going to happen. I have a real sense of peace about what God's doing in the lives of the people of this church, and it's going to take that kind of effort. As you know, it's a monumental task we're trying to do to relocate the campus.
I think that there's just a greater responsibility on my part specifically, and possibly on other members, to rise up at this time and to do what we need to do for the church and for everybody else in our church, and hopefully to minister and possibly bring other people into our church family. And also I think it's a time of sacrifice because it gives us an opportunity to do something for others and to do for the church as opposed to doing only for ourselves, and something that we will all, including us, benefit from. And so I just think that's real important.
One thing I really love about AUMC is everyone takes part in taking this church forward, taking this home forward. And I think that's because it's so family oriented. You know, this time around, it's a lot of the same people plus a whole new group that are in here. I mean, people just feel like they want to be a part of that. And it takes a lot of time. But the end product, I think, is something that all of us feel like it's worth it. So I've seen that again where, you know, you get these big, these significant events in our church life, and everyone wants to be a part of it.
I think the most exciting aspect of Moving with Vision is the opportunity for all of us to become shareholders, if you will, in this project. It's amazing that literally every week someone's coming on board to the church here and saying, what is the church doing? Where's the vision? What's happening here? They can feel the excitement and sense it, yet they haven't fully grasped a big picture, if you will, or the full sense of what this is. And what I think Moving with Vision, in essence, if you were to boil it down to its simplest element, is that moving with vision is our opportunity to just catch a glimpse and to begin to build upon what God is already doing and what God will continue to do. And as we become immersed in what God's doing, in the ministries, the lives that are being changed, we become shareholders in the building of God's kingdom.